Everybody, today is the day where I will have another look into Obsidian. It's now more than 2 years ago that I was using Obsidian since I started using Heptabase as my main note-taking and PKM system. Those who follow me on this channel know that. But we are always open to learn from other tools and see what's going on. And I obviously see all the updates coming to Obsidian, including the latest implementations of the databases and so on. And I really want to see if it can compete with Heptabase. That's why I made a fresh installation of Obsidian, and I will show you exactly how I would set up any note-taking app from scratch, no matter what it is. So I'm always in control of my note-taking app. And then let's see how it compares to my Heptabase setup. I'm really curious if they're able to catch up too. Before we dive into this, we will have a look here on the Find Tools in our myICOR app, where our members actually lay out their tool stacks and share what tools they use. It's still a very new application that we provide to our members, but already 108 members are using this application, laid out their tool stacks, and we see 43 of them are using Heptabase. Okay, so when we look for PKM, we see here 13 are using Tana as a PKM tool, myMind and things like that, probably in addition with other things. Obviously Obsidian was used. Here it is, 9 people are using Obsidian. Okay, and there's a reason that people are using it. So they're using it for deep thinking, inner world journaling, and that's why I'm really curious now today to dive into this. Even Apple Notes is used more in our community, at least, of busy professionals. We are no students, there are no developers, there are people who need to get things done every day and not to overthink how to manage their PKM, and they want to save time. And that's why they probably go for Heptabase. But let's see how things compete. I haven't prepared anything inside Obsidian except the basic structure that we'll explain to you. We will start using Obsidian as if I would be a new user. And then we will always compare it to Heptabase feature-wise. And I picked Obsidian for comparison because it gets really close to Heptabase. It has canvases, but also linked nodes and things like that. So I'm really curious to see how it can compete with Heptabase in 2025. So let's dive into this. Here we are now inside Obsidian, and as you can see, it's totally empty. There's no daily notes, and there's my life concept. That's what we teach inside ICOR, how you set up any note-taking and PKM system to stay in control of all the notes that you create. And there we have our my key elements, my projects and my topics. If you want to learn more about what this all means, I made videos on this channel already, so check it out to learn more about this. But all you need to know now, this is the basic structure, so whenever I create notes, I know where they go. As I have here on the side these basics to create new nodes. Open today's daily note. Let's do this. And it creates a node just there. I would expect it gets created in daily notes, but it's not the case. And please keep in mind, I'm not a power user of Obsidian. Obviously, there might be thousands of ways to do that. Something I won't do, and what we don't recommend to our professionals either, use plugins. Okay, we need to be able to stay in control of our application, and obviously there are thousands and thousands of plugins that you can use in Obsidian to overcome any obstacle that I probably hit into during this video. But I don't care. I don't want to get back into this place where I was already with Obsidian, where I had a highly customized note-taking setup with plugins, and then one developer of a plugin just decides to no longer update the things and it breaks in the next one and your whole system is broken. We as professionals cannot afford this situation. We have running businesses and we need to have reliable software. That's why we keep Obsidian as it is, to see how out of the box it can compete with Heptabase. Okay, so we created a daily note. So then let's move it manually here, and we would use the daily notes, especially for example meeting notes. So that's how I would take meeting notes. Okay, meeting with Paco, and then let's create Paco. Okay, he's not there yet, and let's say new course about Obsidian for the fun of it. Okay, so let's say this is the meeting that we have, and we made some notes around it and so on. So there's no node created. I have to click on this, at least that's how I think it goes, okay, in order to create this node, and I can move it now to key elements. Paco, obviously my business partner, is part of my life, so that's why it goes into the key elements already. And what I always loved about Obsidian, and something that I'm really missing in Heptabase, is that I'm able to create aliases for these nodes. So hitting the 3 dashes, it gives you the properties, and now I can say aliases and say Paco Cantero. And that's really nice, because the next time I mention Paco, I could, for example, use the full name. I could search for another alias and so on. It makes it much more practical to have nodes in a better way. So Heptabase, if you're watching this, that's really something we could use in Heptabase too. Okay, so when I click on Paco and I'm in this node, we see already there are 2 backlinks created. Okay, that's something that's really great to have these backlinks and the power of backlinks, because this way you can click your way through your thought process and how things evolved. So I can go here now and it goes to the place and it shows me the highlight. That's amazing. And that's what we have in Heptabase too, obviously. And I click here, so I create a course and I move it into topics because it's not a thing yet, but that's why I keep it as topic so I can grow on it. Let's go to Heptabase and see how this works in Heptabase. Here we are in the demo account from Heptabase. I go to the journal app and I will do the exact same thing. Paco, okay, he's already there as a note. Meeting with Paco about new course Obsidian, and boom, created. Here I just need to go back, hit enter, open the note. I can take additional notes, or here as well, right? So the thing is, now we have created this. Let's see, when I go to Paco Contero, you see here all the backlinks. That's the one that we just created. Again, I can click the button, it goes there, it shows me how this looks like. In my opinion, in a much more beautiful UI than I have it in Obsidian. I'm not a fan of, these things, the brackets coming up and things like that. Again, there might be plugins, I don't care. This is right now what we have there out of the box. Command and enter also opens this node, and I can go back here. I can obviously with Control Tab, I can switch between these things. So that's good enough. But now let's mention another date. Okay. I haven't found a way to mention dates in here just based on semantics. So I would say next week. Okay. So if I do this, I would create a node called next week. So I guess I have to type down the daily node thing and come up with a date myself, looking it up. And then when I open this now, I have created this, then I need to move it up to the daily notes, and now I have it in here, and obviously here is the mentioning of the other date. That's something I use a lot in Heptabase, and this would be a real obstacle to me to figure out, okay, when is the 15th? What is a week from now? In Heptabase, all I need to do is let's meet again on next Tuesday, for example. And as you can see, it recommends me now August 12th, next Tuesday. I can just hit enter, boom, there we go. And it uses this date, which is a card itself. And in Heptabase, cards are essentially your notes, the files that you have in Obsidian. I can open this up, and now we are on the date, August 12th, and you see in the backlinks already the mentioning. So that's how I use the journal. The moment I'm in a meeting in August 12th or on that day, I see all the things that I mentioned in the past. So I get reminded on that day about these things, and this works really well. This is because each date is already a card. So no matter where I go on the date, these cards are available. These notes are already created. They are not getting created while I'm doing something. So this is what makes it possible that I can know where I am. If I say next year, 26, I would get reminded August 2026 a year from now. And I think this is pretty powerful, and I don't have to think about it because it's very intuitive how to do that inside Heptabase. Okay, but the thing is, why did I choose Obsidian to compare it to Heptabase? Well, it also has canvases. So let's dive into this and let's check out how far they got with the canvases, because the last time I checked it, I was pretty underwhelmed, to be honest. Now let's face it again with fresh mind and say, this is the canvas. I want to make brainstorming thing, but I can drag in, I can drag in notes from here. And now let's say I can take notes. Yeah, that's possible too. So I can take notes about this. Is it possible to collapse this? There's no, as far I can, if I do something stupid, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I just miss a few things in here, but okay, that's all I can do. I can collapse it this way and keep it big. Bring in Paco as another node. And now let's say I think this is connected in some way or form, and I want to connect this. I can drag and drop this here, and now it's connected. The thing is, it's visually connected now. I can give it a label as well. Okay, so creator, whatever. Okay, so when I go now to this node, it shows up the backlinks here. And when I go to this node, it shows backlinks here. But there's nothing mentioned around what I did visually here. And I think this is something that many underestimate in Heptabase. So when we go here to a whiteboard, let's open a complete new whiteboard. Okay, let's say brainstorming, the same thing. Go in. That's the whiteboard. I can open up the card library. I have filters to easier find these things. But now let's say new course about Obsidian. And as Paco is already an older card, I search for him like this. So we did the same as we did in Obsidian right now, but the difference is already I can collapse these. So now they can just be placed like this, or I can show the whole node as we had before. And now I can connect these together like you have seen before. You see already I have a bit more options here, but it doesn't matter. Let's keep things simple. Let's stay here as well as normal. Okay. I also can double click here and say creator as we did before. So what is now the difference? It looks pretty similar. Well, the big difference is if I open up Paco, and obviously there are many ways I could open it up. I can also open him up on the side panel as we had in Obsidian. If I show it into the info, I see here now brainstorming about the Obsidian course, which is this one. And here you see the connection that we visually created, and I can even see the direction. So this means that this card is connected to Paco. So you see here, this is the card it's showing here. It is showing the information creator, and it shows me even the direction how it's connected. And when I click on it, it zooms into this connection. So you will see live when I change now something here. Boom. See, any things that I write in here, I see full context. This means if I'm now in the full screen mode here on my node, I have full context about this showing up here. I have the perfect understanding how this is related to each other. I click there, boom, it goes to the whiteboard and it zooms in. And that's something I didn't see in Obsidian yet. And maybe there is a plugin who gives you this option as well. But again, here we're talking about a tool in Heptabase that doesn't need any plugins in order to do that. And that's essentially what I'm looking for. Okay, I want to have visual context to think about things, but then have it represented in the node itself. So here you see it the other way around. See, there is the link to the brainstorming too. Another thing that we have here, let's see if this works. If I go here, we can actually show mention link. And now if I remove this link and let's say I mentioned this card, new course about Obsidian, boom. Okay, I just mentioned it in here, and now I can visualize by hitting this box the connections between all the cards. This means that I can create as many as I want. Let's say something completely random, Obsidian. All right, you see that's not there. I create this as a new card. If I go there, there's nothing mentioned yet except this date. Actually, let's do it this way. So let's bring in this card now. Obsidian, you see, and let's bring in this date too. Here's this card from the date. So you can actually bring in your daily notes too. And see, it immediately shows the connection. So if I go back to my journal and I now mention new course about Obsidian and I go back here, boom, you see how it's updating dynamically. And that's how everything is interconnected in Heptabase. You can zoom in and out very quickly. You start on a journal, you just randomly take notes during a meeting, but you in the back end, everything starts to get connected too. That's not something I see here happening. So to me, this is already a reason to stick with Heptabase too. So now I could say I bring it in here. Is it possible to drag it in here? Yes, it is. So I can actually show it this way. And well, to me, a bit confusing, especially here with the daily notes. And now I'm curious about this new database feature, as I'm not sure how this works. Okay, at the time I'm recording this video, the databases, the new base feature is not available yet. Once this comes out, I'm happy to make another video about it to compare the super tags that we have in Heptabase, which is not the official word, obviously, that Obsidian has here. So for example, in Heptabase, if I go to Obsidian and I say this is a tool and I want to add this to a tool database, all I need to do is to hit a command or go directly here and say tools, and I can create a database. This way I can click on it and you see Obsidian is already a tool here. I can now add another tool this way, Heptabase, right in here. And I have here the tags, which is essentially then the databases. Here's the tools database. I can do this on the fly. Let's say Tana is another tool. I create this. I just need to open this up. I can hit the shortcut and I add here tools. And again, the power is in here. I can add another column that I say tool type and I say here PKM. That's how you quickly can create these things. And let's say you are here in Tana. I open this up. The moment I add now tools, I have here tool type PKM. Boom. That's it. And that's how I can quickly create databases on the fly while I'm creating notes in Journal. I'm curious if it works the same way in Obsidian, and I'm happy to figure it out, to have a look at it once the 1.9 version becomes publicly available for others as well, because currently I'm on 1.8 and it's not available yet. I know there are database plugins like this since more than 2 years. Again, it's not about using plugins, installing plugins and all this. That's not for our people. We need to have things simple out of the box. Okay, if you're using Obsidian, let me know in the comments below. What did I miss out? And if you switched from Obsidian to Heptabase or from Heptabase to Obsidian, let's discuss this below too. I'm curious to learn more about the things that you use, and I'm happy to talk more about in the future too. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so I can catch you up in the next one.